So with that, we're going to go ahead and get started. If you're there with us, give us a nice big thumbs up in that chat window. But hopefully, when you looked out your window today, you started to see the snow flurries. I know at my house I did, and I was dreaming of a picture that looks just like this. This is Big Met Golf Course in Rocky River Reservation, a great place to be able to do some cross-country skiing or snowshoeing. When we get at least 4 inches of snow, you can rent cross-country skis and snowshoes from Big Met. In this picture, these folks are snowshoeing. So snowshoeing is a fun way to be able to get out, connect, and explore nature in your Cleveland Metro parks. And so we're going to start talking a little bit more about snowshoeing. So when I said snowshoeing, you probably thought of some of these other pictures that are going to come up here in just a second when you were getting started. So you were probably thinking of something that looks more like this, big tennis rackets that you walk around with on your feet. So if we go from the top and work our way down, this snowshoe, it's hard to tell in this picture, but it's actually 46 inches long. So can you imagine when you're starting to snowshoe and you have something that's almost 4 foot long underneath your feet? It might be hard to move around, but this kind is known as the Yukon snowshoe in a traditional sense, and when they would go out, it would be a vast open field, so it was easy to move around. There were also people who were using a snowshoe that looked more like this. This is called the bear paw, and because it was shorter, it looked more like a bear paw. And this one's actually kind of longer than some that you see. Some of them are going to be really wide around your feet. And the bear paw, traditional style, was used when there were lots of trees around. So if you had something 46 inches long, it'd be really hard to turn if you were in a dense forest. So in that case, they used the bear paw. And unfortunately, with the bear paw, it was kind of wide. So sometimes when you were walking around, it would actually start to hurt people's hips because the way they had to walk. So they decided to combine the bear paw with the Yukon and create the beaver tail. So that's another type. There are additional types of traditional snowshoes out there, but those are the 3 we're going to talk about today. And then down on the bottom here, this is more of your emergency snowshoe. It kind of looks like a milk crate if you're up close to it, but that traditional snowshoe is what people might take with them on a rescue. So if you're on a snowmobile and you're required to have it, that might be something people throw in. So what we're going to do now is we're going to give you a closer look at that beaver tail snowshoe. So this is what it looks like. And again, this is the traditional one. So it has the nice wooden frame here. It also has the rawhide decking. And you're going to want to remember those terms because I'm going to quiz you guys on some terms here in a little bit, but not just yet. And if you look on the bottom of this traditional style snowshoe, you see there's not really crampons, but the rawhide would act as a little bit of the traction while you are out snowshoeing. So again, this is the traditional snowshoe that you would be using while you are out there having fun. We have changed it around a little bit these days. I'm going to grab the other one here. And so when you go snowshoeing, you're not using that traditional style that's up on the screen. You are going to be using one that looks a little bit more like this, the modern or the Western style snowshoe. And so it's going to have more of that metal frame, the synthetic decking that is part of it. And you'll notice you only need your shoe to get started. So you have the snowshoe, grab your shoe. It can be a hiking boot. It can be just one that goes above your ankle, but definitely a boot above your ankle is going to be preferred. And the reason is because if there's all that snow, you don't want it to go down and make your ankle cold. So something that's waterproof, insulated is going to be best, but definitely get your boot, strap it into the binding of the snowshoe, and you're on your way. So why snowshoe? If you go where it's really deep powder and you're out there, well, if you start trying to walk through it, you're going to do something called post-holing. And that's where you're walking through and maybe it comes up to your knees in the snow, maybe it comes up to your hips, and it makes it really hard to work. What a snowshoe does is it gives you additional surface area, and the size is based on your weight, and it's going to allow you to almost float on top of the snow, making it so much easier to be able to walk through. So that's why we are going to snowshoe. So now you know why you're going to snowshoe and how you're going to do it. Let's take a closer look at the parts of the snowshoe. So now we're going to quiz you guys a little bit with those parts of the snowshoe. So you can see the parts here. They're labeled with different colors. So I've already kind of told you what the orange one is. So if you can see the orange one, go ahead and type in the chat what the name of that is called. And again, I'm going to talk about it just a little bit more as we're going through. So the orange one on the modern style is going to be it's going to be aluminum. It's lighter weight, making it easier these days for people to be able to go out and be able to snowshoe. So the traditional one is again going to be the wooden one, and the modern version is going to be more of the aluminum version. So you can throw it in the chat. The orange one is going to be, I see someone got it, it is going to be the frame, exactly. So high five virtually for guessing that one. Everyone else can jump in as well. So that blue one, again, is going to be here. If you know what this blue part is called, blue labeled there, go ahead and throw it in the chat as well. So the blue part, again, is going to give you surface area and make snowshoeing a lot easier for you. So we see it again, it is going to be the deck or the decking, the rawhide in the traditional, synthetic material for the modern version. All right, as we continue on, we have this pink color up front. If you know what that is called, and I haven't told you this one yet, so if you have any guesses, go ahead and put it in the chat. But it's going to be the front of a snowshoe. It's also going to be the front of a cross-country ski that we're going to talk about here in a little bit. So while people have a chance to put that in the chat, I do want you to keep in mind when you're going through really deep snow, and I know in Northeast Ohio we don't always get really deep snow. But when we do, and you have a chance to go through deep snow, if you're with a group, ideally what you want to do is to put a person who has the most energy at the very front of the group, because if they have more energy, they can pack down the snow so that the people who come later can go ahead and walk where it's already packed down, making it easier. And we call that breaking the path for other people, so you can rotate that. So the person in the front and the front of the snowshoe is going to be, I see a couple guesses, we see shield, but it's going to actually be called the tip. So the front of a snowshoe and a cross-country ski are going to be called the tip. And then I'm going to give you this next one. The yellow one here in the back is going to be called the tail. So we have the tip in the front, the tail in the back. And then on the bottom, so the red one here, if you know what these are called, I'm going to talk a little bit about them. Go ahead and throw it in the chat as well. But you're always going to see these nice sharp things, and I'll give you a nice close-up of it. So these nice sharp things, what are they called? What they're going to do is they're going to give you traction while you're out there. And I see ice grips. That's a good guess. There's another name for it. So keep guessing. But they're going to give you traction in the snow. It's always going to be under the ball of your foot. And then some snowshoes are going to have additional ones right here as well on the sides to give you more traction and side stability. Spikes is a great guess as well. We actually call these crampons. You may have heard that before, but spikes, micro spikes, if people are out on mountains, they will just strap them onto their boots as well. On a snowshoe, they are called crampons. And then the last part, which is labeled green up here, if anyone can guess, how do you attach your boot to the snowshoe? What is that called? Give you a clue, if you're a downhill skier or a cross-country skier, it's called the exact same thing. So as you try to figure out what this is, I want to show you how you're going to attach your boot into your snowshoe. And it's really pretty easy. You're just going to slide it in. There's going to be some type of buckle here on the front that you're going to pull and make it nice and tight, and then another one over the heel. When you are putting your snowshoe in, ideally you want about a 2-finger gap in front so that when you're walking with your snowshoe, your boot is not hitting the front. And then on the back, you want the heel strap to be able to be high enough so that it's just over your heel, so it's not going to ride up or go too far down. So straps is a great guess, but this is actually going to be what you put in. It's going to be called the binding, okay? So the binding is how you're going to attach your snowshoe to your boot. And just make sure you don't make the straps too tight. If you make the straps too tight, it can actually start to make your feet kind of cold, and we want to stay nice and warm. And here in a little bit, we'll talk about more ways to stay nice and warm. So this is going to be a snowshoe. We're going to switch to the next slide here, and that is going to be able to show us different ways you can move while you are snowshoeing. So snowshoeing is a ton of fun when you get out there, and you might be having a great time looking, listening to the birds, connecting to nature, and then all of a sudden, oh no, there's a tree on your path. What are you going to do? Well, when you're going, if you just keep walking straight and we're going over it, the tail of your snowshoe is going to hit on that tree that's down. So in this top picture right here, what you're going to be able to do is you're going to turn parallel to that obstacle, and then what you're going to do is you're going to go ahead and step over it. But the thing is, you can see, depending on the type of binding, your tail of your snowshoe is going to drop down behind. So when you're crossing an obstacle, if you point your toe down just a little bit, it'll make it parallel with the ground or the tree that you're crossing, allowing you to be able to step up and over, make room for your next foot, and then you can continue on. All right, so I put the snowshoe down. Crossing obstacles is one thing you'll have to do. The other things you might have to do is to go up and down hills. So you can see up here in the top corner, we have a kick step. That is one way to be able to go up a hill. So you're going to use that crampon that we talked about to give you traction. You're going to kick it into the hill, and then you're going to pick up your heel, plant it in, and you'll notice that there will be steps that you're actually building for someone who comes behind you. Another way to get up the hill is going to be something called the herringbone. And so what I want you to do, if you're at home right now, maybe you're sitting down, maybe you are standing up. Either way, I want you to look down at your feet, and I want you to take your heels and make the letter V. So this is going to be a herringbone. So you can see in the picture just behind me as well, you're making that V, and then I want you to put weight on the big toe side, the inside, and I want you to try to walk. As you're walking, that's called the herringbone because it creates a herringbone pattern in the snow behind you, as well as allows you to be able to go up a hill. The last way to go up and down a hill is going to be the side step. And so you can actually go up or down, but you want to make sure you always lean uphill when you're going, because if you lean downhill, you might fall downhill. So you're going to take your snowshoes, you're going to put the weight on the uphill side, and you're going to dig it into the snow, just like the picture here shows, so that you can go up or downhill and continue on your way. So those are some great maneuvers to be able to keep in mind as you are snowshoeing. So hopefully you feel comfortable snowshoeing. The next thing we're going to take a look at is going to be some cross-country skiing. And give us a thumbs up or let us know if you tried cross-country skiing. The difference between snowshoeing and cross-country skiing is that in cross-country skiing, it was originally invented by the Scandinavians on icier conditions versus the fluffier snow. So cross-country skiing is great whether you're on groomed or ungroomed paths. And you can see here we have the person who's doing something called diagonal stride. So there are two types of cross-country skis. There is the diagonal stride, where your skis are going to move straight back and forth in a line, just like this picture. And then there's also skate skiing, and skate skiing is going to be more like you're rollerblading, and it's going to be that V pattern. And you're going to want groomed paths for that. So when you're doing the diagonal stride, what you're going to do is you're going to have your skis, you're going to have our boots, which we're going to look at in just a second, as well as your poles. So when you are cross-country skiing, you're going to have a grip zone. So that's going to allow you to push off. So you're going to push off or kick off. You're going to transfer your weight to the other side. You're going to glide and then push off, transfer weight, and glide. And that allows you to get around really well. So what we're going to go ahead and do is take a nice look at what a cross-country ski looks like. So you can see again the tip in the front, the tail in the back, we have the binding here as well. So that binding is how your boot is going to attach in, just like a snowshoe. But before I show you that, I want to show you the bottom of a bottom of a cross-country ski. So there are additional types of cross-country skis. Some are waxable and some are waxless. This happens to be a waxless ski because you can see all of these fish scales here. So this area where those fish scale looking things are is called the grip zone or the kick zone because it gives you grip when you are skiing. So when you're doing that push off that we talked about, so push off, weight transfer, and glide, you're pushing off from the scaly part. And then you are gliding on the tips to the grip zone, and then the grip zone to the tail, and that allows you to really be able to move while you're out there. And so I talked about the waxable or waxless skis. This is a waxless ski because these grooves are already in here. You don't have to create them with wax. A waxable ski, you would have to create this each time, and it takes a little bit more knowledge, a little more effort. So if you're just getting into it, a waxless pair is going to work really well. The interesting thing with a waxless pair is that you still are going to put wax on it, but this is going to be called a glide wax. So it's a little different, and so you're going to get a glide wax, and you're going to go ahead spongy on the top, and then the liquid will come out. You'll start at the tip, you'll put a little layer on it, and you'll be able to see a little milky wax come out. You're gonna put it on the tip to that grip zone. Go ahead and make sure it's in all the way. Then from the grip zone to the tail, and then you don't really have to wax this unless it's wet, but you might just go over it with one pass to make sure you're good. And then you'll take your ski. There's also, it's called corking it in. You can go ahead and take the cork end when you're done, just work the wax in. You'll take these, set them outside so that the ski temperature matches the outside temperature, and then your skis are ready for you to go. As you're getting started, you're gonna have your ski, again, diagonal stride, is what this ski is going to be called, classic. And so once you have your ski waxless, you're going to make sure that you have your boot. Now, something to remember, not all boots are created equally. Okay? And what I mean by that is that you have your binding, like we said for snowshoes. You also have to make sure that this boot matches the binding. And so this one is in particular is called NNN. I'm going to throw some names at you. You do not have to remember the names. But I want you to be comfortable and familiar that knowing your boot must match the binding. So this has a little bar here. What you're going to do when you have your skis on, so you're going to go ahead and press it down. There it is. You're going to press it down. You probably heard that go, and it's nice and loud in your ears. I apologize. But now your boot is attached to your binding, and so this is called an NNN. If you are familiar with downhill skiing, you are going to notice that your heel is loose. That is the difference between downhill and cross-country skiing. Something you'll have to get used to, but it makes going up and down hills a little bit easier for cross-country skiing. So when you're done, you're going to go ahead, press the button here, and your boot comes out. So we said this is an NNN boot. So you would think any NNN would go with that binding. However, we like to make it complicated. So this is a similar boot, looks very much the same, but this is called an NNN BC, backcountry. And you can see that there's a big difference between the two, more of a recreational style and a backcountry style. So if you're out in the backcountry, you might be using something a little bit more beefier, but this BC is not going to allow you to use the same binding, and because this bar is thicker, it won't fit. So again, make sure the binding matches the ski. There's another one out there called SNS, which is another type that looks similar. Just again, make sure they match. And an older version you might see if you're going on Craigslist is going to be something called 3-pin. And so this part is your binding, this is your boot, and it's called a 3-pin because it has 3 pins on it. So you can see how these would attach as well. If you're going online and buying a pair of cross-country skis, just make sure that the boot that you get fits your feet because you can't buy these new anymore. Still good to be able to get out, but just again, make sure your boot matches your binding before you go ski. And you can have tons of fun while you are out there skiing, just like these folks are. And so a little bit more about skiing is you can see that he is on a ungroomed path. So ungroomed meaning you just go out in your backyard or into metro parks, and we'll tell you some locations you can go, and you go out and you explore. So on this next slide, you're going to see a groomed path. So a groomed path, meaning a machine comes out and it packs down the snow, making it easier for you to be able to ski on. So you can see a couple tracks in the snow here. So right here, this guy is skiing. There's beautiful tracks in the snow. And as he's gone, if those tracks are there and they're nice and smooth, whether it's groomed or maybe he put them in there, if he has the tracks, it's going to make it a lot easier for him to ski. So the takeaway is, if you're a hiker, if you are a snowshoer and you see cross-country ski tracks, make sure that you go ahead and step over them, like we talked about of crossing an obstacle, versus going through and just ruining his trail and making it really hard for him to ski. So that's a little bit of good etiquette. So you're going to see with this next slide, and you might laugh a little bit on this next one, but this is going to be good etiquette of this squirrel here and vulture are making nice little paths in the snow. Please do not block them. Let those tracks go and cross over them. The other thing is when you're out there is take time to appreciate and respect the wildlife. Look in the snow. See what kind of tracks you're going to see. Maybe you'll see a fox, deer, all kinds of things while you're out there. So it's definitely good to be able to get out there. And on the next one, you're going to be able to see, this is what we use to be able to size people in some of our programs for cross-country skiing and snowshoeing. So the big takeaway is for both of those activities, the size of the skis, the size of the snowshoes is going to be based on your mass or your weight. And so you can start to figure out the different sizes that you need there. All right, so hopefully by now you're thinking, I want to cross-country ski, I want to get out, and I want to snowshoe, but where can I go? So here are a bunch of different ways that you can get out and try cross-country skiing or snowshoeing locally right here in your backyard. So Outdoor Recreation offers a variety of try-it programs where you can get out and try cross-country skiing, try snowshoeing for 1 hour on a weekend. You can go to clevelandmetroparks.com/OR for outdoor recreation to see all of those activities. You can also sign up for our winter program impromptu list, where if there's enough snow, and I'm hoping that we're going to get a big snow dump coming soon, you can sign up for those programs as well. And then lastly, you can make sure that you can get out and be able to have fun in lots of different ways. So in Metro Parks, if you have your own gear, there we go. All right, so we're all right. So if you are in Cleveland Metro Parks and you want to rent, you can go to Big Met Golf Course, like I mentioned earlier, that beautiful scenic view, and rent cross-country skis and snowshoes. Or at Hinkley Lake Boathouse, you can also rent snowshoes there, but not cross-country skis. So if you have your own equipment, if you find some good places to go in Cleveland Metro Parks, you can go on any of the hiking, bridle, and all-purpose trails that are unplowed, as well as the roughs and the fairways of the greens. The roughs and the fairways, but not the greens, of the golf courses in Rocky River, Bedford, and Brecksville reservations. The reason we asked you to stay off the greens is, of course, the golf course is a very fragile environment, and we want to keep it in good shape for others who are going out golfing later in the year. So we do ask for at least 4 inches of snow to be compacted on the golf courses. And if you go to clevelandmetroparks.com/winter activities, you can see a hotline and you can call the golf courses to see which ones are open for you to ski. But a big grass field, you can go out and get by with a little less, but ideally those 4 inches. Chapin Forest and Lake Metro Parks is a great place to go cross-country skiing and snowshoeing locally as well. And then the Groom Pass that we showed you earlier is Allegheny State Park in New York. In a non-COVID year, we'd offer a trip through outdoor recreation where we would take you cross-country skiing there, so hopefully coming back next year. And then Whitegrass in West Virginia is another place. So hopefully by now I've convinced you to try cross-country skiing, try snowshoeing. But what are other activities you can do while you're out there? So if there is snow or not, you can try fat biking. So fat biking is going to be a tire that's nice and wide. It's going to kind of float you across the snow. And so you might see people using a fat bike on the beach or in the snow. So around here in Northeast Ohio, you can try riding your fat bike. And then you can also do another activity, which is one of my favorite, which is going to be skijoring. So if you are maybe sitting in your living room and you're petting your dog or your animals and you want to do an activity with the entire family, including your pets, skijoring is going to be a great way to do that. So this means you're on cross-country skis, so make sure you learn how to do that first. You have a harness for yourself, a harness for your dog, a tow line with an integrated bungee, so to be able to make it easier. But a fun way to be able to get out and have fun with the entire family. All right, so now you're hoping that you're getting out, you're having fun, but how are you going to be able to dress out there? I'm going to step off so that you can see this, but when you are out there, you want to be thinking of the 3 W's of layering. You're going to want a wicking, a warmth, and a weather layer. So that wicking layer is going to be closest to your skin, and when you start to sweat, it's going to wick moisture away from your body. And then the warmth layer, so wicking, warmth, the warmth layer is going to keep you nice and warm. So think of fleece, think of a wool sweater, and think of multiple layers to keep you warm. Something that has a zipper is going to be ideal because if you start to get too hot as you try cross-country skiing or snowshoeing, as you start to get too hot, you're going to want to unzip those layers. And then the last layer is going to be a weather layer, and that's going to protect you from the elements. The elements meaning the rain, the wind, the snow. So a nice rain jacket or windbreaker is going to be great for that layer. So at home, I want you to shout back, even though I can't hear you, the layers. All right, so closest to your skin, wicking, warmth, weather. Let's do it one more time. Wicking, warmth, weather. You guys did a great job because I heard you all the way here. So remember those layers as you're getting out, and you ideally want to have these layers that are all non-cotton. When cotton gets wet, it loses the ability to keep you warm. So again, that wicking, warmth, weather layer, non-cotton, that's going to include your hat, it's going to include your gloves, and then make sure those socks are non-cotton as well. So as you're going out, if you start to sweat, bring a backpack that you can put your layers in, bring extra layers so that you can stay comfortable and adjust your body temperature while you are out there. All right, so we talked about if there's snow, all the things you can do, but what if there's not snow? How can you get out and have fun this winter? We have the 2021 Trail Challenge, in which we have chosen 30 different trails to be able to get out for you to explore. They range from 0.3 to 10 miles in length and go to all 18 of our reservations. So when you are out there, you can connect with nature, have fun on the trails. And if you need a little extra incentive, what we have is if you complete at least 10 of the trails, you get a cool Trail Challenge a cool Trail Challenge pint glass this year. Last year it was a mug. So you get this cool pint glass if you complete at least 20 of the trails. And if you complete at least 10 of the trails, you get a cool sticker. And I have started putting the stickers on my water bottle, so going to be working on the 2021. So 10 for a sticker, 20 for a pint glass, and you can get out and explore. The great thing is this kicked off in January, but it goes all the way through December 31st. So you can get out. We have trails on water, some on paved trails, and some on natural surface trails. So you can check that out, clevelandmetroparks.com/trail challenge. And if you're nervous about getting out and doing it on your own, our outdoor rec staff, our naturalists are having programs on the weekends and during the week, so you can check them out as well. And you can record it online or the paper version as well, whatever is easiest for you. All right, so we have just a couple more slides of activities you can do to engage in this winter. And I don't know about you, but can you imagine being at the top, looking down at this? This is the toboggan chutes at the Chalet in Millstream Run Reservation. So if you haven't been out there, definitely consider going out there. It is 2 twin chutes, 700 feet long, 66 vertical drop. And I want you to think, if you've been out there, it's pretty high to get up there. So take a guess in the chat of how many stairs it takes to get there, because the toboggan chutes opened in 1967, and in 2013 they created a lift to get the toboggans up there. And these toboggans, they're 45 pounds, so they were not light. So you'd have to carry up all of these stairs. So again, guess how many stairs you have to go up to get to the top of this, to have this awesome, thrilling ride where you're laughing and screaming. You do have to be at least 42 inches tall to be able to use the toboggans. And you definitely want to wear gloves to protect your hands, but this is a thrilling activity. You can still get out all the way up until it's 50 degrees. So if there's no snow on the ground, it's a great way to be able to get out this year. All right, what kind of guesses do we have there? Dan, do you want to yell some of them out for us?
Yeah, we have 100, 126, 350, 127, 128. We have no low bidders. No, 398.
Whoa, so you guys are working a little bit harder than you think you have to. So there was one around 100 I heard. So there are actually 108 stairs that you have to climb up. And you're not going to want to just do it once, I'm sure. So 3 times, we're close to that 300 number. So you guys are in the ballpark. So definitely check out the toboggans. It's a great way to be able to get out this winter. So by now, hopefully I've convinced you to get out, go outside with or without snow. But if I haven't, we do have some more of these sessions coming up, virtual programs. They are called the Skills and Thrills series. And in these, we go ahead and we tell you a thrilling story of outdoor adventure and teach you a skill that you can use on your next adventure. So we're not here next Thursday, but the following one, from 7 to 8 p.m. These are going to be an hour long. We're going to be talking about adventures out west. So planning your adventure out west. Then we're going to have paddling the Allegheny and Lake Erie water trails, as well as rock climbing in Ohio and beyond. So lots of cool different activities. So lots of cool different activities that you can come out and enjoy. Dan, do we have a question?
We do. Diane is asking, do the Metro Parks offer classes for cross-country skiing or snowshoeing?
Yeah, Diane, great question. So Cleveland Metro Parks Outdoor Recreation offers a variety of try-it programs on the weekends. So you can try cross-country skiing, you can try snowshoeing for a short 1-hour program. You just have to sign up at clevelandmetroparks.com/OR for outdoor recreation. But yeah, definitely come out and join us. I actually have this Saturday, we have some snowshoeing programs, and then the following week we have cross-country skiing, but they're all available online. Definitely check it out and sign up for that impromptu program notification at clevelandmetroparks.com/winter activities so that you can be notified of different longer programs when we finally get snow, because Mother Nature doesn't always help us out there. Great question, Diane. If you guys have additional questions, definitely let us know as well. All right, so we're going to flip to the next one here. All right, so hopefully at this point you can read this quote from a past snowshoeing program, but the key here is people in Northeast Ohio sometimes think of Northeast Ohio. They think it gets dark in the winter, and they think of it as this dreaded place where there's nothing you can do in the winter. But hopefully I've convinced you tonight that there are so many awesome things to do in Northeast Ohio. With snow, cross-country skiing and snowshoeing. Without snow, tobogganing, completing the trail challenge, going on a hike by yourself, with your family. There's so much to be able to do in your backyard. And one other participant told us, I used to hate snow, but I took a program with you guys out at the Metro Parks, and I was sad to see the snow melt. Hopefully we've converted you. You're going to be sad to see the snow melt. So if you are interested, if you need more guidance, you can go ahead and visit us at clevelandmetroparks.com/OR. It's going to pop up right here. And so you'll be able to follow along with anything that you have questions on. We also have my contact, Outdoor Recreation Contact. But thank you so much for joining us tonight as you learned about winter activities and ways to have fun, connect with nature, and really enjoy all the treasures in your backyard. We're going to stay here a little bit longer. If anybody has questions, you can ask them. We'll be available. If you don't have any questions, you can go ahead and sign off. We truly appreciate you coming and joining us tonight. Dan, do we have any questions that have popped up? All right, we'll stick around just for another 30 seconds if someone's typing in there so that we can answer any questions. And then if we don't have any questions tonight and you think of one tomorrow, the next day, next year, just look us up, Cleveland Metro Parks Outdoor Recreation. We want to be here to provide you with any outdoor activity fun. Throughout the year, we have try-its, we have learn it, experience it, and our goal is for you to really get out and live it every day, to develop and live that outdoor recreation lifestyle. So thanks for joining us. We hope that we'll see you next in 2 weeks for the Skills and Thrills series.